welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and today's video is going to be a big book unhaul. So I'm not going to be going into any of the synopses of these books. I'm just going to be sort of telling you the reasons that I'm getting rid of them. I am going to be trying to sell some of them on Vinted, and I think by the time this video goes up I will hopefully have already sold quite a few. But if not, I will leave my Vinted linked down below, so if you want to buy any of these, you're more than welcome to. So yeah, let's crack on with the video. So the first book is The Conquered by Kaysen Callender. I read this book last year and it was okay. It was just a 3-star. I have owned this book for quite a while. It did take me quite a bit of time to get round to reading it. And I know there's a sequel, but I'm just not really that interested in reading it. It was a 3-star read. It was good, but there's so many books that I want to read. I just don't have time for sort of books that I kind of enjoyed. Yes, that's the reason this one's going. The next book is Before We Met by Lucy Whitehouse. This is a thriller and I read this in a day. It is quite short, but again, it wasn't really anything special. I am actually going to be giving this one to my mum because she really likes reading thriller books. Next up we have Mina and the Undead. I know that this is doing sort of the rounds on BookTube at the moment. I read this one last year and again it was just okay. I've said in previous videos I just think I'm growing out of YA. I'm just not really enjoying it so much, and again it was a 3-star read. There was nothing really wrong with it, it just wasn't for me. But yeah, so Mina and the Undead. So the next two books are pretty much for the same reason. The first one is Beasts of Prey by Anya Gray. This one came as an extra in a Fairy Loot YA box. It just sounds like a pretty generic YA fantasy. I've had this for, I think maybe, I can't remember which box it came in, but I've had it for about 2 or 3 years and I'm not interested in it, so I'm going to be passing this one along. And then the same for An Arrow to the Moon by Emily X.R. Pan. It came as an extra in a Fairy Loot. I'm just not really into the sort of whimsical reads anymore. It just doesn't interest me. I've had this for quite a few years and I've not picked it up. I think it's just time to go. The next one is Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Bashar-Doost, I think. I started reading this one. I got maybe sort of 50, 100 pages in and I just wasn't really enjoying it, so I DNF'd this one. Again, I think it's like a YA fantasy, it's just not really for me. Next one is Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi. The only reason I'm getting rid of this one is that my brother bought me the full box set for Christmas and it doesn't match this cover, so I'm getting rid of this one because I do already have another copy of it that matches, so that's the only reason I'm getting rid of this one. Next up is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I just don't think her writing is for me, to be honest with you. I did enjoy the 5th season series by her. I read that during 2020 during the lockdown and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a 5-star series for me. It was a 4-star. I was kind of expecting a lot more from it, and I've read, I tried to read the 100,000 Kingdoms, DNF'd it, wasn't for me. I did like this one, but again, it's just a 3-star read. It was a bit of a weird concept. I just don't think she's for me. You know, sometimes authors and you just don't vibe. I think that's the case with N.K. Jemisin and we're just not vibing. And I'm not going to be reading the sequel, so this one can go. Next one is Two's Company by Jill Mansell. I tried to read this one. It's about, I think it's like a woman who's married and she thinks her husband's cheating on her, and I can't relate. It didn't interest me. I was bored, and I even tried to offer this one to my mum and she said that she doesn't really like this author's writing either. So yeah, this one's gonna go. I did give it a go, but yeah, just wasn't for me. Next up is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Again, I liked this one, but it was just 3 stars. It wasn't really anything special. I'm not going to be continuing with the series. It didn't really stick out. It just wasn't my thing. This one can go. Next up is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now, there's no tea, no shade here. This is just an extra copy and I don't need 2 copies of this book. Next up is The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. Now, I think I got this one for Christmas. Someone bought this for me. I didn't really know too much about it. It looks like a really cool fantasy. Like, the cover is gorgeous, but that is not... I think it was something about like a drug war. Yeah, it really was not my thing, and I DNF'd this one, I think like 70-ish pages in. Yeah, not for me. Next up, we've got a full series, which is the Snow Like Ashes trilogy by Sarah Roche. No tea, no shade. Loved this when I read it. God, probably like 7, 8 years ago now, but I can't really tell you anything that happened in it. It was quite a forgettable one, clearly, and I just don't need it taking up space on my shelves. But someone might like this full series, because I did really enjoy this when I read it, so I would recommend it, but I just don't need it anymore. Same with Wolf by Ryan Brodin and Blood for Blood. This is a really cool concept about if Hitler wasn't killed and he won the war, and you can participate in a motorcycle race to meet Hitler if you win, and we follow the main character who wants to win the race so she can kill Hitler. It was really cool when I read it. I did really enjoy it, but I don't need to keep it. It's not really a series that I've thought about in a long time, and I don't know why I kept it. Next up, we've got a couple of YA contemporaries. So If I Stay by Gail Forman, A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Bernard, and The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yu. I did really enjoy these three when I read them, but again, I think YA contemporary is just not for me anymore. I mean, I loved If I Stay, I loved the movie, but I could just rewatch the movie if I really wanted to revisit it. And yeah, the other two I loved at the time, but I can't really remember too much about now, so I don't need these taking up space on my shelves when someone else could appreciate them more than I do. Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. I don't really know why this was written. It was good, but it didn't need to exist. It was obviously just a bit of a cash grab after the success of the movie. I think I'll just think of that series as a one-book series. So another YA contemporary is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. I enjoyed this one when I read it, but again, I just don't think like whimsical contemporary is for me anymore. I haven't really thought about this one in years. I actually didn't realise I still had this on my shelves. My bottom shelf was buried behind a few things, and when I saw this on there I was like, oh wow, I didn't realise I still had you, so this can go. And then another full series is the Rebel of the Sands series by Alwyn Hamilton. These are absolutely gorgeous, like with the, is it like embossed? They're stunning, and they're in really good condition as well. But yeah, I read this, I loved it back when I read it, but again, it's kind of like a forgettable YA. I can't even tell you what the characters are called or what really happens, so yeah, this one can go. I don't need to take up space. Next up is Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schultz. This was a really good sort of standalone YA. Obviously there's 4 queens that rule the kingdom, and one by one they start dying. I mean, it's kind of in the title what happens. It was good, but yeah, like the title kind of gives away what happens, and then that's the end of the book, so not really anything special, not really worth keeping. And then we've got A Queen in Hiding by Sarah Kozlov. I did enjoy this one. Again, it was just kind of a 3-star read. There is another 3 books, and I would maybe be tempted to read them, but I don't want to buy them because they're like hella expensive on Amazon, because I think they're self-published, or these are the US editions. I don't know if it's published in the UK or not, and my library doesn't have it, so yeah, not really interested. Next up, we've got The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I did read this one recently and it was okay, 3 stars. I'm not going to read the sequel, and I don't need this taking up space on my shelves when there's other books that I love that could have its spot. So there we go. Little Thieves and Painted Devils by Margaret Owen. I did really enjoy the first book, Little Thieves. I read this maybe 2 years ago, really enjoyed it. And then I recently read the second book and it was just a bit shit. It's not for me. I'm disappointed because I really did enjoy the first book, but yeah, this just wasn't for me, and someone can have 2 lovely hardbacks that are in really good condition for a series they might really enjoy. Next up, we've got quite a few Fairy Loot books. Now, a lot of these are YA. I have now unsubscribed from the YA box. I've come to the realisation that YA fantasy is just not really for me anymore. I'm getting very picky, and I think I need to pick if I'm going to read YA fantasy rather than having it sent to my doorstep for like 35 quid a month. First up is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. Again, 3 stars, it was good, but I don't really need this nice special edition when there's other people that would probably quite enjoy this special edition who loved it a lot more than me. I did enjoy her other series. I think she wrote, was it like a Viking? Oh, it's not going to say, is it? Yeah, she wrote Sky in the Deep, which I did really enjoy, and I am keeping that book. But yeah, this one just wasn't for me. Same with The Darkening by Sunya Mara. Again, it was a 3-star YA fantasy, nothing special, won't be continuing. don't really need the Very Loot edition. A lot of these are going to have the exact same reasoning. Only a Monster, Vanessa Len. It was okay, maybe like a 2.5, 3 stars. It's not really for me. I didn't really enjoy this one when I read it, so yeah, this one can go. Next up is Book of Night by Holly Black. I don't really enjoy this author's writing style. I read the Cruel Prince series by her, and I'm definitely in the minority, and I just did not enjoy that series. I only gave this one a go because it was in a Fairy Loot, but yeah, not for me. Not for me. The Ones We Burn by Rebecca Mix. Again, 3 stars. Don't need a special copy. Son of Blood and Ruin by Marielle Leres. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. This is awful. This sounded really good. The synopsis sounded so good, but oh god, this one. Dowry of Blood. Shit. City of Nightmares by Rebecca Schaefer. This one was okay, 2 stars. It was a bit weird. If you like weird sort of fantasy, you might like this one. It's about if you dream and you have a nightmare, you become your nightmare. So if you're afraid of spiders and then you dream about a big spider, like you'll turn into a big spider kind of thing. If that sounds kind of good, you might like it, but not for me. The last little stack. The Foxglove King by Hannah Witten. I read this a month or so ago. This author's not for me. It was 3 stars. Nothing bad, just nothing really to write home about. So yeah, I just don't think this author's for me anymore. Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. Loved her Darkest Mind series. Enjoyed is it like the Passenger Wayfarer one, like the pirate one? That was okay. DNF this one. 7 Faceless Saints by MK Lob. If you watched my April reading wrap up, 2.5 stars. Just read the thriller, don't bother. Spice Road by Maya Ibrahim. I was really excited to read this one, and it was just nothing special. 3 stars. Someone else can have this nice edition with the sprayed edges. Next up is Yellow Face by R.F. Kwong. This is a signed Waterstones edition. I did go to a signing last year when this book came out with my boyfriend, and we obviously ended up with 2 copies of the book. I don't need 2 copies of this book. He only came to go with me, so I didn't go on my own. Yeah, so someone else can have a nice signed copy. Then we have Fire with Fire by Destiny Soraya. This is a dragon book. She's a dragon hunter. She finds out dragons are actually quite cool and has to sort of change her family's mind. It was okay. Like, I enjoyed this back when I read it, but I don't know if there's going to be another book coming out, but I'm not really interested in carrying on. I've forgotten so much of what happened, not really interested in rereading, and to be honest with you, I don't really think this is that pretty an edition of the book. So finally, we have This Vicious Grace by Emily Thaid. I cannot tell you what this is about. Oh, this one's about she kills every suitor, and yeah, it was 3 stars. I do like that it's bright yellow, like it does stand out quite nicely on your shelves, but I didn't really enjoy this one. I won't be continuing, and I don't need to keep this copy. So there we go, there is my book Unhaul. If you're interested in buying any of these books that haven't already gone, I'll leave my Vinted linked in the description. So that's it for this video, guys. Please like if you enjoyed and comment down below. Have you read any of these books? Do we agree? Do we disagree? I'd love to hear what you guys think. And please subscribe for more bookish content. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!